What's up, grinders? So here's the hand of the, I don't know, the month for me. It's a pretty interesting hand. I put it into this so it's easier for you guys to see. It was at a house game against a very good opponent. He's very well studied and he'll try to make moves, etc. He's a good friend of mine. So the weird thing about this game, this hand, I guess, is there's a $6 rock. So this player here has a $6 mandatory straddle rock, but it has no cash value. So um, I don't add it to the pot, uh, and that's why he makes it 25 under the gun. Just still probably big. Should probably make it smaller, but that's not really the point. The point is the that's why he opens to 25. He's just not. You got to view this as kind of like a normal 3x or 4x open. Anyways, we have jacks, jack of diamonds, jack of hearts under the gun +1. There was actually a player in between us that was sitting out. And I raise to 75, folds around, and he calls. Here's the flop. So we got 3 clubs. I'm not holding the jack of clubs. I bet 1/3. He calls, which I assume he's doing with his whole range, which is what I'm doing with my whole range. Uh, the queen of diamonds comes on the turn, which pairs the board. He checks, as I suspected him to do. There's probably no leading here. I thought for a while, and I decided to check it back, capping my range. Sorry, this website will just scroll down after every betting street. I think I've said that before. I just can't really find a better site. And then the river double pairs the board, and he pots it. So that's the hand, and I will go into the solver to figure out what we should do and what we should take away from it. Okay, guys, so here's the solve. Here's my range and position. I'm raising eights roughly a quarter of the time. Uh, I'm raising these in pink roughly 20% of the time, and these half. All these numbers that aren't 100% are lower than normally because we're under the gun +1 8-handed. So all these hands that I might do more frequently, like ace 5, king jack, king queen, king 10, etc., I would be doing closer to 100%, especially in a live setting. These almost at 100%, and the rest are actually at 100%. GTO Plus differentiates the color schemes where red is offsuit, blue is suited, green is pocket pairs, and the way they weight them is by the fading in and out, just so you know in the future. So this is my range. This is his range. Now, I do kind of want to talk about this for a second because these I'm weighting at 25%. They actually are probably lower and closer to 0 because we're 9-handed and he's under the gun. So keep that in mind. That's a huge point that we need to talk about later in the hand. Keep in mind ace king because I think he's 4-betting at least 60%, and he's told me he's at least 4-betting the ace queen off at 30%. I put 0% of aces and kings. Now, at equilibrium, the computer would never have these at 0%. It would be at least 1 to 20, probably around 10, 15% for balance. That's at equilibrium. I think he agreed with me along with population is almost always 4-betting aces and kings and most queens when you're under the gun. So that's why I don't have those there. I just want to make a clear point that the main decision on in this hand is on the river. So we go to the flop. He solver likes 100% check, which is normal because I'm pre-flop aggressor. I have range advantage. He checks. I bet full range at half 1/3 pot, which I did in real life, and he calls with all his value-ish hands and folds most of his trash. We don't need to get into this too much other than the fact that there is no raising on the turn here. So here's the board, just so you know, just to keep this in mind later. When a fish, this kid is not a fish, he's a very good player. When a fish raises you on a mono board, you need to overfold. They don't have, they just don't aren't balanced enough. They have the nuts or close to the nuts. They at least have a flush way too often. And if you can see as the in the solver, especially in a 3-bet pot, you see fish raise these flops all the time with the nuts. Just overfold here. You can call with 2 pair. Let's say this is a more of a board that had 2 pairs. Let's say ace queen, king queen, 3, jack 10 3. Like you could set up for boats, especially if he's laying a good price. But like just overfold. Anyways, he calls queen of diamonds. Uh, he goes check as he should with all his range. And the first sort of decision point that I thought I had to make in real life was to check or continue. I would be betting, I think, small here. This likes half pot, but that's fine. That's just I don't want to get into that. I just want to make a quick note. When you check here, you are capped, and this is why this hand is so hard to play on the river. Because when I'm capping my range on the turn, and I really did think about this in real time, I knew I was capping my range and I was expecting a big bet on the river. Okay, solver does this to itself because it thinks that betting gives up too much equity when you get check raised, and it's totally correct. Now against a weaker opponent, I probably go small here, and if he raises me, I I just fold, and he's probably not bluffing. But as you can see, solver likes jacks to check here with every combo. That's totally fine with me. I'm just gonna do it. Like I said, you're capping your range. So when you cap your range here against a good player, expect a bet on the river. And do we get to the river? Before I get into the sizings, I ran the solve 4, 5, maybe 6 times with all different types of sizings: 1/3, half pot, over bet, all ins, 120%, 150% pot, and the solver almost always it not almost it always favored the pot size bet, and it never preferred an all in. So the first point of interest that you need to make on this river is that the solver thinks that the price it is laying with an all-in will only get called by something better. Its value it will value own itself, and it will not make hands like my exact hand and these marginal hands indifferent, so that it will never get value from something worse with an all-in. So it loves this pot size bet. So when he does bet the pot, and like I said, I ran that 5 or 6 times with different bet sizings. It always preferred the pot size bet, even though he's betting half his stack with half behind, because it thinks based on the price, the pot odds, that nothing will call that's worse, and it doesn't make anything like these middling hands indifferent. So we can go to the river in my decision. I had remember here, jack of diamonds, jack of hearts. It calls at 66% frequency, folds at 33. Okay. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The first point of reference I want to make is, why is solver calling at frequency? It is because, sort of what I just said, it needs to make hands like mine indifferent to the pot odds, or the MDF, the minimum defense frequency. So those of you that don't know, the minimum defense frequency, which is pot divided by pot plus bet, basically your pot odds, is how often he can bet with any 2 cards that make you fold if you don't main the MDF. Now, of course, you will overfold the MDF all the time, but that's what's going on here. So I want to bring up what your decision um, process should probably look like on the river here. Okay. The first thing is you need to actually count the value combos and bluff combos. Okay. Now, if we count the value combos that the solver has, it has sorry, let me just go through the entire decision. The ace king, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bluffs, and these are bluffs also. Right here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, oops, 13, 14, 15 bluff combos, and it's probably going to have about the same value if we count all these value hands that have, these are all boats and flushes. Okay. Now, in real time, going back to the first question, that goes into the second question. What is the solver doing that we are not or cannot do? I believe that the solver is bluffing with sevens. It still has sevens, 7, 6, 6, 5, and population is not. And even strong villain is not. Okay? Just leave this up here. Make it easier to see. Okay? So if population does not have these bluffs, I mean population, villain, whatever you want to call it, I don't think we can make this call. Even though solver wants us to make the call with our hand to cover the MDF 33% of the time, or 66% of the time. Okay? It's calling. Now, it's really cool that I did call in real life. He had king, queen of spades. And if we go back through the tree, we both played like a solver even on the river, but I did not randomize. I made the call thinking I did not need the club, which is wrong. Solver prefers club because it blocks the jack flushes. Okay? Now, I did not have the club. This is my combo. And I called because I thought he was the kind of player that can make moves here. But really, I needed to go back to these questions. If he has 15 or 16 bluffs, and most of them come from this portion of this range, that means he has to be bluffing with these at that frequency, 60% frequency, to make me call here. Is he doing that? Now, that's why, oh shit, that's why I actually think they don't matter. How do I undo? The pot odds and the MDF does not matter, okay? Because if the solver can't find enough bluffs here, a human is not going to find enough bluffs here. So now, instead of making my pocket jacks have to call, and pocket tens and pocket aces have to call at a frequency, I think this is a pure fold. I don't think, so this leads us to our last question. Can the villain slash population have enough bluffs here? The answer is no, in my opinion. The solver is having a hard time figuring out bluffs. So the answer to this is no. There is a lot of combos. I mean, there's a lot that the solver is doing that we cannot. And if we actually count the bluff and combo values, it has almost all combo value combos, not bluff combos. Because if we discount all these, it literally has no bluffs then. It literally, I mean, I'm sorry, the only bluffs it has are the ace-king combos with the club, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 combos. Versus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, these are not. Yeah, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 combos of value versus 6? It's a pure fold. So make sure you ask yourself these questions. I thought this hand was extremely instructional, and there's a lot to learn from this hand. You also have to know that when you weigh the ace-king combos, um, the bluffs that sometimes come from like these hands. I'm sorry, like on the turn, the bluffs would be like ace-king, like ace-king, ace-queen combos. The solver doesn't even have it that much because I weighted it down because it was pre-flop. So basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Ask yourself these combos. You could take all the time you want. Count the combos on your fingers. We just counted 21 or 22 combos of value and 6 combos of bluffs. If he's even bluffing there. If he's even bluffing there. Which he's not. So if you have any questions about this hand, I think this hand is extremely instructional. It is awesome. It's a 3-bet pot. Lots going on here. If you have any questions about that, just let me know in the comments. I know this is kind of a advanced spot, but I love it. And thanks for sticking around.